The Great Run October series has reached its final destination. Over 50,000 runners will have taken to the start line this month, from wet and windy Edinburgh to the still city of Sheffield, to Birmingham, where the legendary Haile Gebri Selassie put in a vintage performance to become the inaugural Bupa Great Birmingham Run champion. And now to Portsmouth for the world's biggest 10-mile road race, the Bupa Great South Run. Your commentary team are Tim Hutchins and Stuart Story.
Well, more than 20,000 athletes, masses assembling, and will leave in waves. The elite women will go off first and then be followed by the elite men and the rest. It's a flat course, it's a fast course through from Alonce Clarence Esplanade, through that historic naval base, Queen Street, just on, as you see there, Winston Churchill Avenue, east and west, Lord Montgomery Way, Clarence Parade, Eastern Parade, Henderson Road, and then East Way, and then Southsea Esplanade down towards the finish.
Doris Changewa there in the red, the Kenyan making her 10-mile debut here. She's the Commonwealth Games silver medalist at 10,000 metres. Enormous strength. She's run 68 minutes for a half marathon this year. There's Anna Incerti, the Italian. Well, she knows this course, lots of experience. 2:25 in Berlin a month ago, and she was fourth here last year. There's Arin Jeritic, the Commonwealth Games marathon champion. Again, another athlete who might push it on if it is a strength-type race. But sixth in the Great North Run 6 weeks ago. And young Charlotte Purdue, what a star she is, the 20-year-old from Aldershot, Farnham and districts. Ran the Commonwealth Games last year, has loads of experience, and second in Edinburgh just 3 weeks ago, over 10,000. And then the favourite perhaps here, the Ethiopian Aselofech Mergia. Great speed, enormous strength, the winner of the Dubai Marathon this year. She's run 67.22 for a half as well, so she will be tough to beat. Well, of course, a lot of controversy recently in the news about Paula Radcliffe's what was a world record for the marathon at 2 hours 15 being called now only a world best, because the world governing body have decided these women's records have to be set in women-only races where they haven't got men alongside them. Well, it's good to see, Stuart, the women running here on their own. So this is a race that is eligible, if you like, for world records should it come their way. The wind very much against the athletes, and that's a shame. It's otherwise a very nice morning. The actual air temperature's not too bad, and it's dry at the moment.
Yes, indeed, and Charlotte Purdue, a young lady who is running further and further, heading towards that long-distance race that we know that eventually she will achieve. The longer race it is, the better she becomes. Then Charlotte Purdue, there she is, right in the centre of your shot. And she's a diminutive figure, she really is, but growing in stature time and time. We saw her run the Great Ireland Run earlier on this year. She won that. And then, of course, the World Cross Country Championship, she was 14th in that, which was a terrific performance from a European athlete, one so young too, and relatively inexperienced. And then, of course, Tim, she got the injury when she was training in Font-Romeu, and that put her back. She didn't have a track season, did she?
No, that's exactly right. She's had one or two pieces of bad luck in the last year, but an enormous character shown in Edinburgh 3 weeks ago when she managed to get ahead of Arin Jeritic, who is herself making a debut here. She managed to split the Kenyans on that day 3 weeks ago around the Scottish capital, and I just got the feeling that Charlotte Purdue is going to produce something pretty special here today. I think she might threaten Mergia myself.
I agree with that. I think she's very, very determined now, not afraid of the African presence in races, and that has been a criticism of ours over the years with British athletes not prepared to challenge the Africans, and you know, the psyche has actually prevailed in the first instance. And I just have a feeling that she's one that will prevail here. And Freya Murray in the green on the right, the Scot, who's had her injury problems this season too, is also there. There she is, centre of your shot now. Barros on the right.
Well, Freya was second here last year, so she knows the course.
Well, let's go back now to the start of this race, and we've got the men coming next, and they will head the masses, all that 24,000 or so athletes. Bododani, we saw Bododani, fourth in the World Championship Marathon. He was third in Birmingham, that half marathon last week. He's in good form, Bododani. Alistair Cragg, of Ireland, former European indoor 3,000 metre champion, now in training for the marathon. Well, Leonard Coleman of Kenya is only 23, the second fastest man in the world 5 weeks ago, 44 minutes and 27 seconds for 10 miles. He's in very, very good form indeed, we're told. It's good to see Chris Thompson back, the Briton, the European 10,000 metre silver medalist, recovered from injury, second in the Great Yorkshire Run, second earlier on the season too in a race against Haile Gebrselassie. Kirui, of course, defended his marathon title in Daegu. So 2009 and 2011 marathon champion of the world. So there really is talent here, isn't there? Look at the masses, they'll go off in waves according to their ability. Personal stopwatches look always. A bit of a hustle and a bustle at the start, but I would think that the principles will be there. And also worth a mention, we didn't get an introduction for him, but Scott Overall's here, the Blackheath and Bromley athlete who represented Great Britain in the Berlin Marathon, and he went very well. We'll hopefully catch sight of him in the race, but look at that. 24,000 heading out along that first 2 miles of the coast road, up down the Clarence Esplanade, along Pembroke Road.
The masses pouring through the line there. We can see Stewart, and they'll gradually get into their running, each wearing those timing chips, of course. But look what's happening at the front end. Coman here has gone off like a rocket. Now, I was talking to his coach, Renato Canova, earlier, and he said that he's hoping to break the world record here today of Haile Gebrselassie, 44:23. And to do that, I got the mile breakdowns from Renato Canova in the hotel, and he said he's going to go through the first mile. He's aiming at the first mile in 4:22. That's why he's already about 20 metres ahead of them, because he's got to be running here at what is a very good pace for 5,000 on the track, but he's got to do it 3 times in a row.
Well, 45-minute pace would take him through in 4:30, so that would be 10 seconds inside if he could achieve that, but he's really gone off. And that's Kirui, I think. That's the chasing group. That's Kirui, who's gone after him, the world marathon champion. Thompson's there. So is... I was just having a look there, and I think that was, it was indeed, yes.
But this is, well, it's going to be a lonely 10 miles for him if he keeps going at this sort of tempo. But I tell you what, Stuart, I mean, he nearly broke the world record for 10 miles 5 weeks ago. He knows he's got all that speed in his legs. He's the first man ever to have broken 27 minutes on the road for 10 kilometres. He broke the world record by 17 seconds, by the way. He obliterated it. So he's got enormous confidence.
Well, there are the famous ships, and as I said, they'll leave through the Marlborough Gate, past heritage area, this heritage area which has so much history.
Charlotte Purdue, who's she has to be the shortest, the smallest in that group. She's a very, very determined, tough little character, and I'm glad to see that she's right up there from the start here. Alongside Mergia. She's not intimidated by these big names either. She's building up enormous knowledge and experience about racing and how to handle it from a psychological point of view very early on in her career, under the tutelage of Mick Woods, who has such a great squad down there in Aldershot. And it's good to see really good opportunities for youngsters like this to be racing against some of the world's best.
Lovely shot, isn't it? Some wonderful history here. Victory. Battle of Trafalgar. Actually, this is Her Majesty's band of the Royal Marines outside the Victory. Look at this. I mean, this is just ridiculous.
He knows no fear, Stuart. Clearly, he was aiming to go through the first mile in 4:22. Actually, world record pace works out at 4:26 per mile. And it'll be interesting to see. I mean, he's going to go through it here in about 4:15 or something ridiculous. This is really good running for 1 mile, never mind about 10 miles. And look at the lead he's built up. Kirui was trying to stay in contact with him. He's isolated back there in second place. The rest of them turn that corner. What about 70 or 80 metres back? 1 mile there. He's gone through what, in about 4:16, 4:15. Meanwhile, here we have the women. They've gone through 3 miles in 15:52 and 5 kilometres in 16:26. So their mile splits have gone 5:10, 5:22, 5:20. They've settled down to a nice steady tempo. Barros here, though, is leading the Portuguese, and clearly the others aren't up for pushing for a really strong time yet. They're still a big group together. Nearest the camera there, Changewo. There's those 5 kilometre splits, as you can see. 16:28 actually the official split there we've been given for 5 kilometres. It is quick, no doubt about it, and vast majority of these ladies making their debut at 10 miles, Stuart. Of course, it's not a race that's run very often. There's only 2 or 3 big 10-mile races around the world.